Hello, audience. Welcome back. Whew. Boy, do I have a good one for you today. Today, I want to talk about, something that might be the most important thing. A lot of things are important, but this one's pretty important. And that is the conflicts and the harmony between genders, gender wars, gender loves. And what is going on, man? Like, what is going on right now between genders? What's going on between you and your partner, you and your ex, you and your future partner? You know what I'm saying? Like that aspect of life, the masculine and the feminine. As of course, as you know, these are the most fundamental basics of consciousness. The the duality of masculine, feminine, of course, and of course, there's another dimension to this called polarity. There's a if you know the seven hermetic laws, one of them is the law of the gender, and another one is the law of the polarity. The reason I'm doing like this is because there's a reason anyway. But besides the point, what I'm trying to say is that in order for us to deal with all the challenges that are happening in our lives, we need to understand the basics of what the hell is going on. You can't just go in blind, you know what I'm saying? And if you're armed with the basics, then you can navigate the life well. All wisdom is elegant and simple. You know, if somebody tells you that it's very complex and difficult to understand, full of caca, man. Of course, you can see the masculine and feminine and the polarity. Let me explain a little bit more about the polarity, okay? Before we go in directly about the relationship issues, I want to talk about the basics of consciousness, of why things are happening because they're happening, rather than just being in the conflict and not finding the resolution. Okay, so the two sides of the coin, the masculine and the feminine, right? Okay, so one represents the order and another one represents the chaos, okay? And so I just want to distinguish that because it has another dimension to it. There is a so-called divine chaos and the divine order, or sacred chaos, sacred order. These are words: natural chaos, natural order. Okay, these are just words, but you understand that there's this concept of harmonious, you know, the divine order and divine chaos represent something. Divine chaos represents innocence. It's love. Divine chaos is pure love. It's pure innocence. There's nothing evil about that. You see what I'm saying? That's why when people say like, oh, we just need to get rid of chaos in order to get order, let's hold on a second. I'm going to go into the other side of the coin, in polarity. And then divine order is wisdom, okay? This is the point of life, is to have the dance between the innocence and wisdom. And if you have that dance between innocence and wisdom, you're navigating life with joy and ease and satisfaction. Okay, but we gotta get to that point. Then the other side of this is the corrupt chaos, okay, and then the corrupt order. Those are just only two problems every single person will face in their lives. You have to understand this. Like, there's only two of these problems. Of course, they can differentiate into 7 different problems, and those 7 into more. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can differentiate, but these are at the core. If you understand the core of it, the rest of it falls into place. If you manage those 2 basic ones, the rest of it will fall into place. That's how you play the game. But anyway, what does it mean, corrupt chaos? Well, the corrupt chaos is like when you see the yin and yang. Every yin has a little bit of drop of yang, and every yang has a little bit of drop of yin. This one doesn't have it, okay? This is pure oblivion, pure black hole. This is the corrupt chaos. It doesn't have its own light, so it has to always steal. Always has to steal because it doesn't have its own. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes it may even imitate that it has its own in order to steal. Okay, this is the root of all feminine evil. Okay, And for you to relate of what the hell I'm talking about, why there's only two problems in your life, it's those two problems. It's either anxiety, fear, or pain, which is where it stems from, okay? Is that the corrupt order? I'm going to get into it a little bit deeper. And then another side of it is dullness, apathy, depression, okay? Those are the two energy points to two extremes. One, on the corrupt order, is light that does not move. It's pain. Pain is light that does not move. It's corrupt. It cannot flow. You see, it doesn't have its own love. So it's pain, okay? And another side of the coin, in the feminine side, dullness. It's basically the energy that is so flat that it doesn't move. It's basically the pain could be like, very high frequency that does not have its balance, so it's pain. And this is a very low frequency that doesn't have its balance, light, right? The energy. So two extreme opposites, which is like absolute oblivion and absolute hell, absolute agony and absolute oblivion. You see what I'm saying? Those are the two evils. That from this stems everything else. Okay. So this is why we have to also always be careful, and this is why it's so important to know these principles of nature, principles of consciousness, and not to believe it, but test it and watch it. Everything that I told you, you can relate with yourself in your life. You can say, yes, I've experienced depression. I experienced that heaviness that sort of like pulls me down like a lead, and then they cannot move. I've experienced that, okay? This is that, chaos energy that just pulls you into absolute zero, no life, you see? And then of course you've experienced, yes, I've experienced emotional pain as well. I don't know what the hell, I know physical pain, like, if somebody pokes my arm, I can feel the pain, but I don't know, how can I feel emotional pain? Because where is the emotional body, right? But you can feel it. And you can say, yes, it is real because I can feel it. So two extremes. You see what I'm saying? And then you can act from depression and apathy and just be apathetic, not really interested in anything in life and whatever, and be a drag. Or another one, you could be very anxious, and always do things that don't make any sense, and just a distraction, just so you can put that energy into someone, right? So this distracted energy just doesn't do anything. It's just blah, And another one is just sucking the life out of you. Okay. So now that we know those two hell side of the chaos and order, right? There's a quadrant, if you will. Then we know, okay, the point of life is to rid of whatever makes us feel that, and rid of whatever makes us feel that, right? And the reason it's so important to know this is because when somebody's teaching you, especially this high frequency, low frequency, new age stuff, it's a belief system, and then people believe it, and then they live their life as if it's true, and they call themselves spiritual because they took on the spiritual belief. A spiritual belief is not spirituality, it's a spiritualism. We have to differentiate those two. So a lot of times people who are spiritual, in the spiritualism, it's very tricky, because, like I said, the chaos will imitate that it has its own light, and it's actually divine chaos, and the corrupt order will also imitate. You see what I'm saying, right? It's very difficult to do the work, transmute the energy. So it's much easier. Actually, I shouldn't say it's very difficult. It's basically facing life and then avoiding life, right? So anyway, the point is that okay. Let's just say it's much easier just to be where you are and not really move into letting go. I shouldn't, all these words, man, it's just basically facing of what is. Okay, let's just leave it at that. People don't want to face what is, so they need beliefs to cope with everything, right? So going back to this high frequency. So they say, look, the high frequency is good and low frequency is bad. Okay, simple. No, not that simple. Okay, high frequency if you don't have the balancing force, love, right? If wisdom and power is another uh, power, the true power is wisdom, not the power over the people. Is the true power is wisdom, and that power is light, and then of course the love, you can say the divine chaos is love, and wisdom, love and power and whatnot, or love and light. These are just words, but we're trying to describe something that is there, out there, right? So if someone is at a high frequency, okay, and meets the person who is not at that high frequency, or doesn't have his heart open or love, what's going to happen? That person is going to experience pain, because it's experiencing high frequency, and it experiences as pain because it hasn't it's burning all the shadows. And of course it's a great opportunity to start working on that, but usually what people do is avoid it. Okay, I don't want to deal with this person because it makes me feel pain, whatever. And but that's not necessarily you met someone who is evil, you know what I'm saying? You actually could have met somebody who is very bright, but because you have certain amount of darkness, it burns you. Okay, so that's why to you high frequency is, you may not be ready for the high frequency. Okay, that's why a lot of people talk about, oh, raise your frequency, raise your frequency. Hold on a second. If you do that, just that, you will experience pain. If somebody, for example, if you ever taken psychedelics and you don't know why you started experiencing so much pain, it's because of this, because you're not ready for that elevation of frequency yet, little by little. Okay, so normally that's why naturally it segregates the people, because people, that's why we say you attract what you vibe on, right? But if people is actually at the high frequency that is balanced out, not because high frequency without balancing out is pain, then usually other people are avoiding that because they will start burning up or whatever, what I'm saying. Now we go on the other side, right? Love, right? Super low frequency is good. No, not so fast. Or zero, is good. No, absolute zero is absolute death. I'm sorry, I gotta change something here. 1 second, let me pause this. All right, let's continue. So we're halfway in. Hopefully going to finish in about 20 minutes. So we're halfway in. I'm gonna drive it home. Okay, so if you understand this, absolute zero is not, it's not good. It has to have a little bit of light, and it has to be a little bit of movement, because like it's called in oblivion, depression, that staleness, right? And like I said, we all experience it. Okay, now that we know these basics, let's go in the actual application of what's happening in life, right? So you've all heard of this incubus and succubus types of energies, right? Why sometimes men and women have these types of issues about whether, okay, let's just get into this. Okay, I'm gonna call it straight. Okay, so if a woman, a female, has this type of corrupt chaos, okay, and there's no judgment here, because we all start from there and then we grow, right? Because we have to recognize, that we have different levels of maturity on a soul level, not intellectual, but on a soul level. We have different levels of maturity, and this is just the law of nature, okay? There's no need to, just like the same way, you say, who's better, the youngster or the old person, Who's better? What are you talking about? The youngster is looking forward to all these experiences, and the old person had these experiences and had all this wisdom. So they actually can work together in a very nice way. So there's no judgment on immaturity, because we've all been there. No one escaped that, right? But some of us may be, been there, done that, and that's totally cool. But as you can see, there, of course, there's another level of sort of equality where we can just play in innocent. You know, a granddad can play with his grandson, and on equal terms, because it's a play. But when the push comes to shove, you know, guess who's gonna pick up the slack? The granddad's gonna pick up the slack, and that's okay, and that's how it works. Okay. Anyway, saying that, that level of immaturity, I'm gonna go on both because I'm not judging one side or the other. I'm talking about both sides because both sides had the dark side. So, starting with the female, if the female has that dark chaos, okay, it hasn't really worked through and gained her own light. What's going to happen is it's going to be a woman that is always trying to steal a man's light. Always going to have to try to steal a man's light. What does the man's light means? Energy. Whether it's the money through, you know, gold digging, whether it's the emotional, you know, triggering you to lose your shit, and so then, you know, like shit testing you and all that stuff. That's the dark side of the feminine. Okay. And so of course it works through sexuality, lust. This is how the succubus and incubus work, right? The succubus sucks the energy out of you, right? It gives you, it dangles the, you know what I'm saying, I want to keep it clean in this video, you know. It dangles the prize, if you know what I mean. And if you, as a man, still have not worked through your own little shadows, right? But let's say you're mostly gentlemen, but there's a little bit of weakness there, and you're being empathetic to that, you know, energy. And what happens, you usually have the lust for that type of woman, right? There's no love there, but there's lust. You're just very attracted, very, very powerfully attracted to that woman. And then in order to get that cookie, you're willing to sacrifice your own energy, your own manhood, your own, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of relationship you get. That's the succubus relationship. And the succubus will always, like, if you're a real gentleman, if you're all together, and if you have that little weakness, for the succubus, it's super tasty thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, and ultimate goal for that corrupt chaos is to destroy you. The ultimate goal is to get you to the point where you want to kill yourself. Okay, that's the force. That's the goal of this force. Pretty fucking dark, if you ask me. But that doesn't have to go that way. If we all agree that it's the point, use this as a catalyst, right? If you're a man and if you see in this type of relationship, and you know energy is being sucked out, and your money is being sucked out, and everything, and you see that you're in it, but you can't help it, this is your job to start working on letting go of lust. Basically, whenever, I'm always gonna tell you exactly what to do. So if you're in this type of relationship and you feel that lust going that way, instead of like expressing it, you can face this, just like with anything else. You can face that energy and say, I'm gonna sit with it. I'm not gonna act on it. I'm gonna sit with it. And then little by little, that energy of lust that, you know, trying to make a move, burns up and dissipates in the presence. And that is the real manhood. The real manhood is that absolute, you know, presence. That's the real, where you can have so much presence that this pure lust that's trying to pull you does not move you. You see what I'm saying? And you enjoy that peace more than that lust that always it comes back to bite you. And of course, what happens when that dark energy, dark chaos pulls all the energy out of you, you become dull, apathetic, and depressed. Okay, and that's why sometimes you, after this type of relationship, you may feel like, you know, what's the point of living? But that's not the ultimate reality. It's just as what you've been made to think of because you've been in that type of interaction. But the good news is, if you have worked through, what happens is that person who harbors that type of demon will not be able to take that energy from you. Then gonna revert back to the creepy, the corrupt order, the corrupt masculine. That's obviously not gonna work, and that will trigger that person, that woman, that feminine, to to start doing her own work and start opening the heart from where the light can come in. And once you do that, then that type of hunting goes away. So as you can see, this can be used to catalyze the development of the masculine and the feminine in both directions. That's what it's for. That's the polarity. You see what I'm saying? This is why, like, the light attracts the dark. That's why you may be wondering why they call it empaths. I don't want to box people in the groups, but people who are empathetic, which is basically the people with the open heart, are suckers for somebody who's dark. Why? You see what I'm saying? The light attracts darkness, and vice versa. And that's why, but it attracts through that sexual lust. That's how it does it, addiction. It does that through the addiction, and your goal is to rid of this addiction, just like ridding addiction of alcohol, ridding addiction to lust is the exact same way. That's the dark side of the sex. Now, going on the other side, the corrupt masculine, the corrupt order. Now, the attributes of this side is that it's tyrannical, right? So this side wants to enslave the divine feminine. It wants to find somebody innocent and enslave it and have it for themselves, because they're lacking love. They do not produce their own love. You see, the corrupt feminine does not produce their own light. The corrupt masculine does not produce their own love. And that's why it's an incubus. And why is it the incubus? Is because incubus, the corrupt man, puts their emotional pain into the woman. You see what I'm saying? And this is why in this type of interaction, men usually get depressed and women get very anxious. Okay? Incubus succubus relationship. So I hope it makes sense up to this point. And ultimately, in every relationship, that's the driving force behind it. You see what I'm saying? And this is the type of attraction that I want to call, like this dark attraction, if you will. But it's for you to work this out through. It's not to run away from. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't work this out, and they just try to control it, and you can't control it. Like, if you're going to try to control your sexuality, good fucking luck. It's going to break through. You have to work it out. So there is none of that drive anymore, right? Then, if you do that work, you'll find that, that attraction that I used to have, that polarity, it's gone because you've done your work. And you suddenly, not because you're controlling, it's like, no, it's not good for me. It's because it's gone. It's not there anymore. You see what I'm saying? That dark, passionate attraction is just not there anymore. And then, because you have a different type of energy, now you attract a different type of feminine energy, different type of masculine energy, which is more about enjoying life than working shit through. But we have to go work through our shit in order to get the cherry on the cake. You see what I'm saying? And you can't skip it, and if you try to skip it, you're gonna be in one of the camps, incubus or succubus, if you know what I mean. So if it resonates, if this is something that you've experienced in your life, and you've been questioning what happened to me, after this relationship or whatever, or what is happening to me now, this is it. Because I see a lot of people developing more belief systems. Jesus Christ with his belief systems, man. Then somebody talked about the existence of such thing called twin flames. So now everybody think that they are in a twin flame relationship, and that's just a traditional, polar, dark, trauma-based relationship as a catalyst for both of the parties to work that out. One is learning wisdom, another one is learning love. Okay, that's just that type of relationship. If you try to call it twin flame, then, and everything that associates with twin flame, you try to put the image that does not fit, okay? And this is why you going back to the same cycle, never-ending cycle of suffering, because you believed in twin flames. That's fucking ridiculous, man. And so it's a type of a cult. And they lost it. They think that it's about, like, you know, happily ever after. No, it's about working your shit through. That's what it's all about. It's working through your, like I said, either learning love or learning light. That's what that relationship is for. And some people call it false twin flame or a dark twin flame or whatever. It's just part of life, man. Part of life will bring you someone to can work these things out, right? Then when it's gone, then you will see, it will be revealed. And it's usually when that lust is gone, what is left is love. And love will show you. Love also comes with the truth. Love will show you, like, oh, okay, so this soul came into my life to help me to get to this point, and now, let's say, we're friends. Or you say, oh, this person helped me to get to this point, and maybe there's something else between you two. Doesn't matter, but only love will show you the truth. But if you're still in a lust, in that pain cycle, you're not gonna see what it is. But if you accept it that that's what it's for, I know, it kind of sucks to see, like, oh, why can't I just enjoy life? Why do I have to be in this freaking school? I totally get it, man. But we have to graduate. But I promise, if you graduate, good things will come to you. But the good things will come to you because the suffering will end. Whether the existence of twin flame is true or not, it's not really relevant, because then again, it's just going to be the label that we put on that thing. Speaking from the basics of consciousness, because if in this reality we have all fragments of ourselves which reflect within people, all the triggers that we've experienced, these are little fragments. It makes sense that when you are becoming whole and no longer fragmented, that someone will reflect, who also not fragmented, reflect your mirror, because this is how the reality works, okay? It's always reflect. So it makes sense that divine masculine that you acquired or divine feminine that you have acquired will be reflected with divine feminine or divine masculine. It just makes sense that it's there. But that's, guys, at the end of the graduation, at the end of the school. You know, even I watched the Lord of the Rings, and you can see that Aragorn got his girl after all the wars, at the very, very, very end of the movie, after 9 hours or God knows how long those the trilogy is, but only at the very, very end he got his cherry. You see what I'm saying? So might as well just live life and let this happen automatically, if that indeed is to happen. But if you cling on it and it's like, oh, it's this, like, no, you're gonna miss it where you're at every day, what you gotta face, like these little demons that you gotta work through. And if you move in that direction, it's not as bad, man. I'm telling you, like, if you've been stuck in a cycle and you learn what it's all about and you work through them, they're not as bad. Because every single time you face it, you know it's over forever, that pain will never be there again. So then when you know this, is like, oh, I see, so I'm somewhere in my life and there's going to be next one, and every time it comes I deal with it, and then there's things are going great, and there's another challenge, I deal with it. It's just like that. And this is the way we dance in the relationships. You see what I'm saying? Even the most darkest relationship can get the benefit for for evolution and growth. But if you just make this into idea or belief that it's twin flame or it's the one or whatever, then you're going to be stuck in a cycle. You see, you can't get out if you think like that, because you created the belief system that now it forces you to be with that person, even though you can see the cycle of pain. You know, just don't call it the one. It's not up to you, honestly. Like, it's not up to you to know whether it's the one or not the one. That these things happen. You know, this is what I always talked about in the previous videos. You gotta let the spontaneous thing, which is love, to just happen. Because if you meet the person, is that the one? Is that the one? Is that the one? Is that the one? It's a nightmare, man. So I'm gonna end it right here. Hopefully it makes sense. And fight a good battle and make a good love. Peace. See you in the next one.